Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into part 4 of a massive 10-part tutorial called MLOps, a strategic guide for IT professionals. This is brought to us by Virtualization Options LLC, which is a Colorado-based tech research and advisory group. Now, this guide is built from the ground up for IT pros and management to really get a grip on MLOps fundamentals. We aren't covering the whole 10-part roadmap today, though. We're zeroing in exclusively on Chapter 4. We're talking about what actually happens to machine learning models once they escape the lab and hit the real world, and more importantly, how we handle the inevitable degradation they face out there in production. So, let's kick things off with a number that honestly should make every single IT person listening sit up and take notice. 87%. According to the research, a totally staggering 87% of machine learning models fail to ever reach production without MLOps. Just think about that for a second. Think about the massive investment of time, the data wrangling, the expensive compute power that goes into data science, only for almost 9 out of 10 projects to just hit a brick wall and die in a Jupyter notebook. This is what we call the deployment crisis. And as Chapter 4 really drills into, surviving it requires absolute, constant vigilance once you're in production.
Here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll look at the deployment crisis, defining MLOps, pipeline automation, infrastructure and governance, monitoring for drift, and finally building the team. Section 1, the deployment crisis and the solution. Look, if you're in IT, you're already deeply familiar with DevOps, right? But DevOps just manages code. MLOps is significantly trickier because it treats code, data, and models as 3 totally distinct first-class artifacts. You've got to version, test, and deploy all 3 of them with the exact same rigor. Because, as we'll see when we get into model drift in a few minutes, if your data changes but your code stays exactly the same, your model output is going to change. MLOps basically takes those classic DevOps principles like heavy automation and continuous integration and stretches them across this much wider lifecycle to catch those silent failures. To actually build a foundation that can handle this post-deployment drift, Virtualization Options lays out 3 core pillars. First up, people. You absolutely need shared ownership across your data scientists, your ML engineers, and IT ops. No more silos. Second is processes. You've got to lock in standardized workflows for everything, from training all the way to evaluation. And third, platforms. You need the actual physical tooling and infrastructure that enforces these best practices at an enterprise scale. You can almost think of this like gamifying your enterprise journey. Step 1 is level 0. This is, unfortunately, where most enterprises start out. It's highly manual, totally notebook-driven, with basically 0 automation or monitoring. Step 2 is level 1, where you've at least got automated training pipelines kicking off when new data arrives. But the real goal? That's Step 3, level 2. This is full CI/CD for machine learning. Hitting level 2 is the game changer that lets a system automatically fix concept drift, and it drops those model failure rates by up to 60%. Section 2. Pipeline, automation, and CI/CD. All right, when you're setting up this automation, choosing your cloud platform is obviously a massive foundational decision. AWS SageMaker Pipelines is super tightly integrated with S3 and Glue, and it gives you fantastic built-in logging. Azure ML Pipelines, on the other hand, is very DevOps native and really strong if you need hybrid deployment support. Then you've got Google Vertex AI, which leans on a Kubeflow-based architecture and has basically seamless BigQuery integration. Look, your choice is going to depend entirely on what your existing IT ecosystem looks like. But the point is, all 3 of these give you the necessary plumbing to react automatically when your models inevitably start breaking down. Now, a huge piece of this automation puzzle is dodging what we call data skew. This happens when the data you use to train the model looks completely different from the live data hitting it in production. Stopping this skew is step 1 to making sure you aren't actually causing artificial drift yourself, so enter feature stores. Tools like Feast or SageMaker Feature Store uses brilliant dual storage architecture. They keep an offline store that's optimized for massive batch training and an online store optimized for lightning-fast, sub-millisecond real-time inference. But here's the kicker. Both of those stores are served from one single feature definition. Absolute consistency, every time. So, your model is trained and validated. Awesome. But how do you actually release it safely, especially when you're constantly retraining it to fight drift? Mature CI/CD pipelines rely on a few specific deployment strategies to keep the risk low. A blue/green deployment gives you a totally 0 downtime swap between the old model and the new one. A canary deployment is a bit more cautious. It's a gradual shift. You send maybe 5% of your traffic to the new model, then 25%, and if metrics look bad, it auto-rolls back. Then there's shadow deployment. This runs the new model in parallel, feeding it live traffic to test it out safely, but without actually showing its predictions to your end users. Section 3. Infrastructure and Model Governance. We just talked about managed cloud services, but what if your organization has crazy strict data residency rules, or maybe you've already sunk millions into a Kubernetes footprint? For those situations, Kubeflow on Kubernetes is usually the go-to. It gives you highly portable, vendor-neutral ML orchestration. It works multi-cloud or totally on-prem. Yes, the operational overhead is definitely higher, but you get maximum flexibility. It becomes this incredibly robust backbone that makes monitoring and retraining at a massive scale actually possible. Central to all this governance stuff is the model registry. It's basically a versioned catalog of every single model and piece of metadata you have. The MLflow model registry, which has kind of become the open source standard, tracks things through a really clean 4-stage lifecycle. Models start at none, they move to staging for integration testing, then they get promoted to production with a full, rock-solid audit trail, and eventually they get archived. Every single production model has to be traceable through this exact lifecycle. That way, when performance inevitably tanks, you know exactly what is running and exactly where it came from. And honestly, that traceability is make or break for compliance. If you're in healthcare, you absolutely need audit logging for HIPAA. In banking, you've got SR 11-7 guidelines for model risk. When models drift, and again, that's our main focus today, explainability tools like Shop and Lime become total lifesavers. They let you audit exactly how the model's behavior changed. They give you feature-level explanations for automated decisions, which lets you answer the dreaded auditor question. Why exactly did the AI suddenly start making this specific choice? Section 4. Monitoring for concept drift. Okay, we have arrived at the real meat of Chapter 4 here, concept drift. What is it really? Simply put, it's when the fundamental relationship between your inputs and your outputs changes in the real world. Think about credit card fraud. The way criminals steal money today is totally different than it was a year ago, right? Or think about how a sudden economic shift alters loan default rates overnight. Even if your code is 100% bug-free, the world has shifted beneath it and your outputs are now garbage. Plus, upstream data pipelines can fail silently, like dropping a column or tweaking a schema. You absolutely, positively must have ground truth feedback loops built in to catch this degradation as it happens. So how do we fight back against this drift? IT teams need to deploy monitoring tools that track output distributions and set hard service-level objectives, or SLOs. For instance, you might set a rule that accuracy cannot drop more than 5% from its baseline, or that latency has to stay strictly under 200 milliseconds. And here's the cool part. When those thresholds get breached, it shouldn't just spam an engineer's pager at 2 a.m. In a truly mature MLOps setup, that breach automatically kicks off the pipeline to go retrain the model on fresh data. Section 5. Building your MLOps team. Because, let's be real, the best tech in the world isn't going to fix degradation if your org chart is a mess. You need a very specific mix of talent to actually monitor, identify, and fix these drift issues. You've got the data scientist who owns the model development. The data engineer makes sure the inputs are reliable. The ML engineer is the bridge right into production systems. The MLOps engineer handles the platform tooling and the CI/CD pipelines. And crucially, a lot of people miss this one, an ML product manager who makes sure all this incredibly expensive technical investment actually aligns with business goals and delivers a real ROI. Virtualization Options heavily pushes what they call the hybrid team model. In this setup, you have a central platform team that provides all the standardized tooling, the pipeline templates, the heavy infrastructure. Then, you take your ML practitioners and embed them directly inside the individual product teams to actually apply those tools. It's brilliant because it's the optimal way to ensure enterprise-wide consistency while still keeping your engineers super agile and aligned with fast-paced business demands. When you actually get all this right, the people, the processes, the platforms, the business value is just undeniable. Keep this number in your back pocket for your next management meeting, 6x. Organizations that successfully build out mature MLOps practices are deploying models and fixing drift 6 times faster than the teams still relying on those messy, ad hoc, notebook-driven approaches. Ultimately, what Virtualization Options is pitching here is a future of fully automated, self-healing machine learning systems. It's a world where drift automatically triggers retraining, that retraining triggers a rigorous evaluation, and that evaluation triggers a seamless deployment. Humans are kept in the loop, sure, but strictly for high-risk decisions and high-level strategy. This frees up your IT and data science teams to actually do what you pay them to do, innovate, rather than just constantly putting out fires and broken pipelines.
I'm going to leave you with a bit of a provocative question to take back to your IT leadership this week. Take a hard look at your current projects and ask yourself, is your organization just building models, or are you actually building self-healing ML systems? Because, as we've explored today, a model without a robust system wrapped around it is really just a statistic waiting to fail. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.